Okay, got an update on the LTD. I've done a lot of work on it. I got my engine mounts made. It's just like 1-inch square tubing with, I don't know what that is, 3/16 plate steel. I got a alternator mount that is a low mount alternator mount, and got my AC bolted on here. Cut off my exhaust manifold to start. I'm going to weld a pipe on them. And on this side, to put the exhaust manifold that way, I could not run the power steering or power brakes, so I had to, I'm going to put a manual master cylinder on there. It's a Pro Comp intake. They also call it like, I don't know, speed something intake from Summit. It's like $220 brand new. And it's got the 4L80E bolted up underneath it. And I actually mounted it. It's just, I gotta weld it up, but I made some plates there and welded them to the back edge of the rail, and just made like an angle iron transmission cross member and drilled the holes. But I'm gonna do a bunch of bracing and welding on that. It actually fit really nice. I didn't have to even cut or beat on the floor, really. It actually surprised me with that. I got a condenser out of like a, I think it's like a 09 and 05 to 09 Dodge Ram. This is kind of how a Dodge Ram set up. They have the radiator on one side and the condenser on another. So I guess if it's big enough for Ram, it's big enough for me. 31-inch radiator, dual pass, so the outlets and inlets are on this side just like the engine is. And the intercooler is off of a F650 with a Cummins engine. And I cut 9 inches off of it. And I may actually have it upside down from what it originally sat, but in order for it to fit and not hang down, I cut 9 inches off of it, and it's 44 inches wide. It's a really big intercooler. But anyway, it's in there. I may have to do a little beating on the floor to get the transmission lines and shifter linkage, and it's right up against the floor there. So, but the big story is, this is the 4th engine I've bought right here. Do not deal with a guy in Saudi Daisy, Tennessee. His name is Chris Brown. He is a total crook. I bought my first engine from him. It was a good 4.8, and got it home, and it was a 5.3, which that's understandable. I know they're hard to identify when they're together, but this is one of the bearings out of, what? This is not the bearing out of that motor. That motor was full of water, so it looked like a milkshake, and then I tore it apart, and the bearings were scratched up, but they weren't terrible. They were just scratched up and needed replaced. Well, he gave me a total runaround on getting it back. Actually, I hid when I got there. The first time I went to leave, he said I couldn't come. Second time I went, he hid. So do not deal with Chris Brown Performance or whatever else. Sorry, Daisy, he's a total crook. This is the bearing out of the second motor he gave me, which actually was a 4.8. He's like, oh yeah, it's good, it ran fine, didn't knock, everything's fine. And I got it home, and this is the bearings out of it. So that was the second motor I had. Well, then I bought a 4.8 that had a blown head gasket. Got it apart, same way. Had spun rod and main bearings. Both the first two 4.8s I got had spun rod and main bearings. The first 5.3 was full of water and had scratched up bearings and a scratched up crank. So I ended up with 3 bad motors. So then last week I bought this motor. It actually turned out to be a Gen 4 4.8 when I got there. So that was awesome because they have the beefier rods in them. And I'll show you the difference on them. This is Gen 3 rods. See how they're rounded? Okay. The edges of the caps and stuff are rounded. This is a Gen 4 rod right here next to it. See how it's really squared off? It has a wider beam to it, and they say these are good to, like, you know, 800-900 horsepower to the tires, where those start bending around 600 to the tire. These also have floating pins, They have the little indentions to get the snap rings out. So it's nice. They're floating pins and they're thicker, a lot stronger rods. So it worked out really good. This motor's like perfect. But what I wanted to show you was, look at this ring gap. It's like the tiniest ring gap on earth. This motor was in great shape, so I figured it might be tight, but that's a 9,000ths ring gap. And the calculations I ran online and looking on forums, the top ring needs to be like 25 thousandths, the second ring needs to be like 28. So I had to file a ton. I did all 7 of the rest. This is the last one. And this thing is only like 9 thousandths ring gap. So I'm having to cut like, you know, almost 20 thousandths off the ring gap. So I think it's a good thing I did that. But so it's going to be Gen 4 4.8 with the ring gaps open up, Chinese head studs, LS1, LS6 head gaskets. I put a ZR1 LS9 camshaft in it for like $100 off eBay, brand new. Reusing the stock lifters. And the ZR1 has a 3-bolt cam, and these Gen 4s have a single bolt cam, so I ended up taking a Gen 3 cam sprocket and putting in there with the Gen 4 chain and lower gear. I hope that works. It looked like it was same number of teeth, same diameter. This is a 58 tooth reluctor wheel because it's a Gen 4, and it has the knock sensors in this on the side of the block, which they're not bolted on there right now. And I've heard they have the gray crank sensor instead of the black one. I put a Gen 3 front timing cover on it, but a Gen 4 timing cover. Where's it at? Is this it? Has the front cam sensor on it. That's a Gen 4. So, really glad it's a really good motor. Better rods and pistons in it. So, that should work. Got my 317 heads. You seen the video, they're all ported. Got my pack valve springs on there that Sloppy Mechanics recommends. So it's coming together. I got to build my front frame rails and bracing to hold the radiator and intercooler and start doing piping and stuff. But it's coming together slowly. I don't get a lot of time to work on it right now. So, but here it is. Maybe I'll have a video soon of it getting some of this stuff mounted up on the front end. But that's what's going on now. So till next time.